Hey there, how you doing? It's your friend Phil here, Project Management Trainer and Coach. Welcome to 40 Days to PMP and CAPM Exam Success. Today we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. This is where we talk about the dreaded 3 from HR. Acquire, develop, manage. Acquire project team, develop project team, and manage project team. Let's get straight into it. So in executing, like I said in the previous video, we've got 31% at stake. If you have 8 processes where 31% of the exam is weighted, that tells you 31 divided by 8, talking about 3 point something percent of your exam could come potentially from any of these 3 processes that we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about acquire project team. Acquire project team is all about acquiring your project team, acquiring the team for the project. How do you go about acquiring the team? Well, you need to have a plan. So the human resource management plan is an input to this process. But the different ways that you can acquire team members, first of all, we have pre-assignment, a tool and technique of this process. Pre-assignment is pretty much assigning team members in advance of the project charter, or in advance, if you wanted to think about it, in advance of the project being finalized or authorized. So this is where the people who've done well in the firm or done well on previous projects could be assigned to future projects. We also have a tool and technique, negotiation. What are you negotiating? You're negotiating for resources from functional managers, for example, or maybe even external to the organization, maybe with a staff augmentation firm. You could be negotiating for resources. Also, the tool and technique known as acquisition. You are trying to acquire team members to be on the project, so we refer to that as acquisition. Also, to acquire team members, it's not strange to once in a while have some people, maybe even all people, work virtually, work remotely. We call that virtual teams. So virtual teams is another tool and technique to be aware of when you're talking about acquiring the project team. Now, we also have a very verbose tool and technique called multi-criteria decision analysis. It sounds very scary at first, but it's not a big deal. It's really criteria for hiring or selecting or choosing resources, human resources, people to be on the team. So whatever your criteria is for team members to be recruited on the team, it's called multi-criteria decision analysis. Now the end goal, the end game of acquiring the project team is project staff assignments. You're acquiring the project team so you can assign them to tasks. We call that project staff assignments. Also from here, once you have acquired the actual team that will be doing the work, you now have an idea of when they are available, when they're not. We call that resource calendars. So the resource calendars show you when team members are available, when they're working on a task, and when they're not. Okay, so that's acquire project team. Now, develop project team assumes you have acquired the project team, and after acquiring the team, what do? You develop them. You send them for training, you send them for team building, you make sure that the team is working as a cohesive whole. So your human resource management plan is an input to this process as well. In fact, all 3 processes that we're going to be talking about today, they all use the human resource management plan as an input. Okay, the human resource management plan is an input to all of those processes in executing within HR. Okay, so bear that in mind. So your human resource management plan obviously will guide you on how to develop the team, guidelines about how to develop the team, but ultimately you will be using tools and techniques such as interpersonal skills. And if you haven't looked at Appendix X3 in the PMBOK guide, I would highly advise it, because that's where Appendix X3 breaks down all of the different interpersonal skills within the PMBOK guide context. Take a look at Appendix X3, and instead of just reading Interpersonal Skills in HR, read it in Appendix X3 to get that robust view. We also talk about training and team building, things like ground rules, setting the expectations for good or bad behavior on the team. It's also talked about here. We also use co-location. We co-locate the team. Co-location, putting the team in the same place. Some people may even use it as a war room ideology to put the team together when the stakes are high so that they could rapidly communicate and stuff like that. But we talk about co-location here as well. We also talk about recognition and rewards. It's very important to reward the team. You know, you want to reward the team for good behavior, for being extremely efficient and getting the job done. So rewards and recognition is also important. And as part of this developing the team, you also want to assess the team's performance, ask the question, how well are they doing? How well did they do? And we use personnel assessment tools, not just for performance reasons, but we could also assess what they have learned, if they have learned a lot, and stuff like that. Your major outputs from this process are team performance assessments, because you want to assess the team after training, for example, to make sure that they really did learn something. They didn't come back empty. Okay? And the final process in this hat trick of HR within executing is manage project team. Managing the project team is all about the project manager or the functional manager involved giving the team constructive feedback, guiding them towards improvement, or guiding them towards sustaining the good things they have learned or the good things they have done on the project so far. So again, we have the human resource management plan as an input. We also have project staff assignments and team performance assessments as input. So you want to get that team performance assessment that just happened. You want to get that, and you want to comment on it. You want to put that in context and give the team feedback as far as what they should do now. Now that they know where they are, this is what they should do to get better, or to sustain the good things they've done. As part of this process, managed project team, we also have a rare appearance of work performance reports. Work performance reports are derived from the monitor and control project work process, but we see them as an input here. I tell you folks, these three processes, they are loaded. You're going to have to go back to your drawing board and meticulously comb through all of these ITTOs I'm throwing out, because these are what makes the exam tough. These ITTOs in HR, it's tough on the exam if you haven't got it down, okay? Another bunch of tools and techniques here. We have observation and conversation, observing the team, conversing with the team to identify how they feel, to understand if anything needs to be improved upon. Water cooler conversations that you would have with team members falls into this category. And what are you doing? You're not just communicating with the team, you are communicating with them with an intent to improve on team efficiency. We also have project performance appraisals, and these are appraisals of the performance, the team's performance on the project. We also have conflict management. I would suggest, again, go into the PMBOK guide. Too much information here to be covered, but the preferred approach to solving problems, to conflict resolution, is confronting the issue or collaborating, also known as problem solving. So confront, collaborate, problem solve, all the same thing, but that is the preferred method for conflict resolution. We have withdrawal or avoidance. We don't want to do that. We have smoothing, not the best. We have forcing. That's a win-lose. One person wins, the other loses. Not very good. And we want to take the conflict resolution approach that the PMI suggests is best under most circumstances where we can, where there's time to collaborate and problem solve. We want to do that, okay? We don't want to smooth over the issue. We don't want to be in a dictatorship role where we say it's my way or the highway. We don't want to do that. So anyway, look in your PMBOK guide, because there are additional conflict resolution approaches that I've not talked about. Know all of them and understand the win-win is confront, problem solve, collaborate, same thing. And that's really the big thing. Withdrawal or avoidance, in some instances, some people could use that, especially when there's no time. Another idea of how this could be used, a manager of a team could decide to use a force, or I should say, what's the approach now? The approach is one in which you force the other party into going with your idea, not because you're trying to be a dictator. It's just that you're trying to help the team get to a place, a decision point, without wasting too much time. You know, if you need to make a quick decision, sometimes the leader may have to use a force approach to kind of get everybody to follow his or her decision, and there's nothing wrong in that. Okay, but anyway, that's pretty much all I'd like to say on that. Read it up in the PMBOK guide, and also interpersonal skills is used in manage project team as well. So you can see here that HR is loaded with all sorts of things that are not very easy to remember, because a lot of PMs are not involved in HR in their firms. They're not truly involved in acquiring the team. The team's already given to them. They're not involved in developing the team. Functional managers make the judgment call on whether Johnny should go for training or not. You know, and managed project team is out of the question. In many firms, the PM is not in a position to review people's performance or to give project performance appraisals. Maybe it would be in the appraisal, you know, getting their knuckles wrapped, but definitely not critiquing or giving constructive feedback to the team. Some organizations it does happen, more of the strong matrix and the projectized ones, but a lot of firms do not operate in this manner. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The major output that you get from managed project team is change requests. But let me just say one more thing. This is one of the only processes where the issue log is an input. So managed project team has got an input, which is the issue log. And the issue log contains all manner of issues currently being experienced by the team. The issue log is an output of manage stakeholder engagement. And the issue log also becomes an input to control stakeholder engagement, as well as this one, manage project team. So in managing the project team, you also want to use these issues as an input, address the issues, and make sure the team knows what to do. All right, well, that's it from me for today. Very long one. Don't forget to read up those conflict resolution approaches. There are more approaches that you need to be aware of by reading the PMBOK guide. I also have some of these below the video, so where I have these open-ended questions and these ITTOs to focus on, please read that and you should be good to go. As well, I want you to remember this does not replace your 35 Contact Hour course by any means. So if you haven't taken a 35 Contact Hour course, go to Praizion.com and sign up for the online 35 Contact Hour course. Just starts at $75 for a week. That's like nothing. All right, all the best. Take care. Speak to you soon.